Welcome to the Finding Our Own Pace audiobook series. This is Episode 2, Part 1, Finding Answers Through the Fog, My Story. My healing journey began over a decade ago at 25 years of age. The compounding effects of chronic deep sleep deprivation, constant high levels of pain and fatigue, no understanding or help from medical professionals, and no helpful remedies are memories burned into my foggy brain. I barely managed to put one foot in front of the other. Every single day was hard. I had no idea how my body continued to function despite constant illness and the ever-present pain and fatigue. It's taken many single steps forward for more than a decade to get to where I am. Much has been self-led. I am the project manager of my health, and I have learned to take this job seriously. I take advice from consultants, health professionals, and carry on with the day-to-day jobs. It all seems to have started when I was a preschooler. Constant ear infections led to an operation to put grommets in, and they took my adenoids out. Something went wrong. I remember waking up with the breathing tubes in my nose. Someone told me not to pull it out. I was only curious and wanted to know what was happening. I appear to have recovered well enough from that. In the later childhood years, I recall excruciating growing pains, leg pain so bad that I spent many nights writhing in agony. At 14, I experienced what was then labelled as tendinitis in my forearms. At 17 years old, I would experience burning shoulder pain at the end of every day. I didn't sleep well. There were specialists who implied I was making it up because the pain location and intensity changed. There were physiotherapists who taped me up, blaming my posture. Nothing helped. In one episode, I experienced such severe back pain that they thought I'd slipped a disc. The x-rays showed nothing, so they didn't pursue it further. I was a very active 18-year-old who worked at a gym as a receptionist, went to university, and was taking painkillers and amitriptyline, a tricyclic antidepressant used at lower doses to help with chronic pain conditions. At 21 years old, my final year of university, I became very ill with a flu-like bug. For weeks I was plagued with cold symptoms and fatigue so severe I recall struggling not to fall asleep during tutorials and lectures. When I went to the doctor, they put me on antibiotics. It took a few weeks for the infection to clear, but the fatigue did not. I had wanted to continue on and do my master's, but I didn't feel able to work and study. So I launched into the workforce. As I started full-time work, the pain in my back and neck became worse. I saw a chiropractor for about a year, but this did not help. His technique didn't suit my nervous system. Over the next few years, I became steadily worse and began to get sick with alarming regularity. I saw physiotherapists, osteopaths, and massage therapists. I went back and forth to my doctor. It's worth noting I was a healthy weight, as active as possible, and ate what is usually referred to as a healthy diet, grains, fruit, and vegetables dominating. Nothing helped. It took all of my cognitive function to keep up at work. I had lists upon lists so I could remember everything. By the time I returned home in the evening, I had limited cognitive ability. I'd eat prepared meals I had batch cooked, mostly roast vegetables and tinned tuna, and watch television series on DVD that I had already seen. I couldn't read because I couldn't take in the information or hold up a book. There were all sorts of seemingly unrelated symptoms, but everything paled in comparison to the pain, fatigue, and sleep disturbance. My nervous system was on high alert at all times. I never got into deep sleep. My whole body was wound up tight and always on edge. Somehow I got through the week, stumbled through Saturday, and crumbled on a Sunday. Rinse and repeat. I began to think that if I could reduce my work hours and spend less time at a computer, then perhaps I would have slightly less pain and could do something outside of work. At that point, slightly less was the dream. My doctor discouraged me because she believed I'd still be in pain but with reduced income. Thankfully, I followed my gut. I moved with my parents and younger brothers to a warmer city where I was able to reduce my work hours to 27.5 per week and cut the 1-hour bus commute each way down to a 30-minute drive. I would pick my brothers up from school on the way home and spend the afternoon with them. I'd rest while they did their homework and we would go for a short walk together. I didn't know it yet, but I was starting to pace, an important way to manage chronic fatigue. This made all the difference, and I could see a light at the end of the tunnel and started to move out of survival mode. Across the decade from 28 to 38 years old, my health progressed on an upward trajectory despite some setbacks and 4 pregnancies. I learned about trigger points, the nervous system, stress management, and pacing. I became my own director of health and an advocate for people with chronic illness. My journey is freely available on my website, melissaversusfibromyalgia.com. I also published a few books, courses, journals, and worksheets, all in service of my mission to share anything that could help other people's journeys to be shorter than mine. It's been a wild ride. I had my first son in 2014 where my symptoms were terribly undermanaged, and the doctors didn't know how to help me. By the time I had my second son, I had learnt how to help myself more. I published all that I learned in my book, Pregnancy and Fibromyalgia. I also started low-dose naltrexone, which really changed the game. My sleep, pain, and energy all improved. With my third and fourth sons, my pregnancies were better and worse. I experienced severe symphysis pubis disorder and sacroiliac joint dysfunction. Essentially, my pelvic bones relaxed too much, causing difficulty walking and a lot of pain. After enduring the sacroiliac joint lower back pain for a further 2.5 years postpartum, I was referred to a rheumatologist. He added chronic back pain to my list of conditions and sent me back to my regular doctor. When my periods resumed after my fourth son, they were brutal, and I thought they had been bad prior. I have an extensive history going back and forth with the doctors about heavy and painful periods. In 2022, they rendered me unable to function. After much advocating for myself, which got me on a long public wait list, we paid privately to see a surgeon. He removed my uterus and the endometriosis. I'll share more about this in my chapter on endometriosis and painful periods. But life without traumatic pain every month is incredible. Orthostatic intolerance was a background issue that surfaced periodically until my operation. It became so prominent that postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS, was assumed. I was also in incredible amounts of pain post-surgery, so bad I couldn't sit or stand for any amount of time. I begged my doctor for help. She referred me to the rheumatology, and the wait was long. We were considering something degenerative at that time, and I was desperate for answers. Through some research, I found that chiropractors do x-rays during intake. We found that there was no degenerative condition present, but I did have poor curvature of the neck and lower back. Across a year of treatment, I improved quite a lot. My sacroiliac joints didn't go as badly out of place. My neck improved, and for the first time in many, many years, I wasn't enduring severe headaches regularly. It was through my chiropractor that I learnt that I'm hypermobile, not just my pelvis. When I went home and researched it, all of my symptoms fit, everything. And so at 39 years old, we found the underlying cause of my issues. My doctor removed fibromyalgia from my diagnostic list and added hypermobility spectrum disorder, suspected hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The 4 major themes or recommendations for my improvement are: first, ensure you're properly diagnosed. Second, to treat perpetuating factors and other conditions. Third, to treat symptoms. And finally, to learn to look after yourself. I've come a long way. Unfortunately, I've had to fight for all of it. My dream for you is that you don't have to fight so hard or get so sick before you get the help you need. Join us next week for part 2, what might be going on, understanding the conditions. If you're enjoying this and want to get ahead on the next episode, then come and join the Finding My Own Pace pre-order crew. You've got a whole lot of resources in there now to help you in your journey. You're getting each episode 1 week ahead, and then you will get the full manuscript before anyone else. It's a way to support me with this work, but a way for you to get a whole lot of resources that could be helpful in your journey. Make sure that you hit subscribe and like this video, and join us again next time for the next episode. If you have any questions, place them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for being here.